Hey guys, welcome back to this video series about board games in general and what kind of things are out there in modern board gaming. We're kind of taking a look at this from the perspective of my top favorite games in my collection. I did put together a little intro video to explain how I got to this top 10 and a little bit more information about what I hope to see in this, so definitely check that video out if you haven't. That being said, last week we did number 10, and now I'm here to show you number 9. We interrupt this video series with an important newsflash from the National Broadcast Network. Authorities are searching for this man who has been accused of spreading board game propaganda across the net. Should you see him, please contact your local authorities immediately. Okay, so I didn't exactly see this coming, but apparently when I ran the NBN server, apparently they weren't big fans of me stealing their idea of trying to sign their logo on the moon with giant lasers. I don't know, but that just seems like a little bit of ridiculous to me. I mean, who uses a death ray to shoot a logo on the moon? That's just crazy talk. So I wanted to make sure that I got that taken care of, but NBN got a little upset with me, and they're kind of getting ready to send their goons. I've hacked in with enough kind of stuff in my rig to buy a couple minutes here, and hopefully I'll be able to get this to you before they come and get me. That being said, I am here to bring you number 9 on my top 10 list, and that would be Android Netrunner. Android Netrunner is a card game it's an asymmetric card game. It means that at one point you could either be playing as the runners, who are trying to break through all the defenses and trying to steal these horrible agendas of personal greed and terrible things that the corporations are trying to do. Or you're playing as the corporations, trying to embetter humanity and really build up something beautiful. You know, trying to make sure that you defend against these vile brigands who are trying to steal your ideas. I love the asymmetric nature of this game. I love the fact that each faction has its own flavor, but there are multiple strategies within each faction. There are 3 different runner factions, there are 4 different corporations, and there is, I'm not going to lie, almost infinite different kind of versions that you can have of each of these, especially as more and more cards are coming out. See, this game is called a living card game. At least that's the term that Fantasy Flight tagged onto their versions of this style of game. See, when I was a kid, we had Magic the Gathering, and Magic, as much as I enjoyed that game, I had to sink way too much money into it because, you know, in order to find that card that you want to make your deck work, you'd have to spend, you know, who knows how much. Unless you got really lucky to open that one pack that had it, you'd have to spend hundreds of dollars buying boxes of cards. If that's for you, that's awesome, but I can't do that, especially now that I'm an adult and I have things like bills, and I can't put that money towards cards. Living card games or expandable card games or whatever version of the general idea is tacked onto a game, the way they work is that expansions come out on a regular schedule, and you know what cards are going to be in that expansion. In fact, a lot of these companies will publish, and sometimes even publish before they're released, the card list. And they'll give hints about what these cards do. And you're guaranteed that if it lists in that expansion, you will get 3 copies of it, and it will be available to you. So if there's a thing that you want to do, you can plan ahead and only buy the expansions that you need to make that work. And I love that. I love the accessibility of being able to edit and tweak and change things while not requiring this gigantic uber drain on your wallet and time. I love that. Now, I will say that Netrunner, you know, for a while there it dropped off the list. I mean, it was never bad, and I still loved it, but for a while it dropped off the list for other stuff, other card games. But one thing I've discovered over the past, I believe it's 3 years that Netrunner has been out, it's the fact that I keep coming back to it. Like, I love Doomtown. Anybody who listens to our podcast knows that I love Doomtown. And for a while there, Doomtown, it rocked my world. It kicked Netrunner out of the list. But here's the thing. Doomtown is big and crazy, and it's harder and harder for me to get people who want to play it. So as much as I love it,
I don't get it to the table. Netrunner is a simple game. Now, there's a lot of ins and outs, and there's a lot of terminology that you need to learn in order to understand what is happening. But once you get over that hurdle, it's a really simple game. And I think that's really what draws me to it. And it's fun. It is a ton of fun. I love the surprise element because corporations put their defense face down. You don't know what you're facing. I love that I'm going to run and see what happens and face plant right into something that gets you into a world of hurt. I love that, being on the other side of that too, and just saying, are you sure you want to run that server? Are you sure you want to go down there? And just messing with people's heads even when I have nothing there, but that card is just kind of a placeholder. See, this is the kind of stuff that happens every time you play Netrunner. I think this game is truly, truly brilliant in its simplicity, yet this expansiveness, because I've played a bunch of different games, and the cards have keep coming out. I haven't bought a new pack of cards in a long time, but new cards are coming out all the time, and those sets, they cover all the different factions. There are big box expansions that focus on individual corporations and runner factions. Personally, as much as the fact that NBN is kind of hunting me down, apparently, I love NBN. I love when I'm playing a corp deck, it's definitely going to be NBN, and they're just getting a big box expansion, which is another reason why I'm coming back to Netrunner. I always seem to end up back here no matter how many times I run. So, guys, I highly recommend, if you're looking for a really, really interesting two-player game, that you're going to be able to find a lot of stuff in stores that people want to play this game. You're going to find a lot of different tournaments. There's a lot of really great stuff out there. And before you get intimidated, unless you do want to be like tournament legal, you can get the core set and maybe a handful of different expansions and be perfectly content. I have a bunch of cards, and while I probably, will get some more by the time I'm done, I have enough cards that I have so many different experiences I can put in valid decks on both sides of this game. So it might seem intimidating with the terminology and what you think is going to be a huge cost, but really you can be economical, and you can just kind of knuckle down and get over that hurdle of terminology and find a really, really awesome game. So I hope you guys would check out Android Netrunner, and definitely look forward to our next item on the list. Hopefully by then I'll be able to shake my corporate tail, and we won't have to do it this kind of covert, line jumping. So anyway, I gotta get out of here before I get into real trouble. Check you guys later for number 8 and hack the planet. Whoa. I was so excited making that 90s hacker movie reference that I completely forgot to mention my honorable mention. Now, honorable mentions, for those of you who are new to the game, are basically games that didn't make the list, mostly because I don't own them. But there are games that are kind of in the same realm, let's call it, and it's stuff that's just outside of the parameters of this list. This one's going to be hard for me because I'd want to name another living card game, but really between Netrunner and Doomtown, I don't have room in my life for another one, so I'm not even looking. That doesn't mean there aren't good ones out there, it just means I don't know what to mention here. So I'm going to go entirely on the feedback I get from other people who are playing it and say that they recently sent out another edition, I believe it's the second edition of the Game of Thrones living card game, and I've heard nothing but good things from the people who play that game. Obviously, with the popularity of the series, both in the books and the TV show, you know that they're going to work real hard to do right by that license, and I have not heard a single bad thing about it. So if you like that world, if you like those characters, and you want to see that in a living card game, definitely check it out. As always, guys, if there's a game that you're playing that you think should be mentioned, leave it in the comments. Definitely get back to us either here on our YouTube channel or on our webpage, inroadsministries.com. And I hope to see you later. Bye, guys.